we're seeing here is the effects of duct tape over time, and what's happened is the duct tape that is supposed to be sealing this pipe insulation has become loose, has torn away from the vapor barrier, and is basically not doing anything any longer.
So the door between the garage and the heated basement, we're going to put a weather stripping around here. And a door sweep on the bottom.
Okay, Tony, tell me why you were going to call for that.
Well, we want to keep the cold air from the garage from entering the basement and close up the gaps.
Okay, so this daylight that we're seeing through the door is a source of air coming in
Air
from the garage.
infiltration, and as the air enters the basement, it forces the hot air out the house faster.
All right, Tony, tell me about what we're looking at right now.
These are the seal plates, and we're going to have them insulated with the 2-inch foam board and caulking around them to stop the air infiltration.
Okay.
And the fact that they have a lot of cobwebs down here indicates air is coming in from the outside. Also, we'll have the plumbing penetrations sealed.
Okay.
On this side here, you can see where pipes go up through the floor. We'll spray foam those. We're also going to have this is the dryer vent. We're going to have that replaced with a solid 4-inch pipe.
Okay, tell me why we're going to replace this vinyl pipe.
The vinyl has the ridges in it, so it restricts the airflow, and you have the possibility of it catching fire because it's just plastic.
Okay.
So we'll replace it with solid 4-inch pipe and vent it directly outside. Let's see. The duct work, we'll have all the seams on the duct work sealed with mastic to prevent heat loss through the duct. And we'll do that on the supply and the cold air return.
Something that lots of folks do. They put in a night light that burns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. And this is a traditional old incandescent bulb. Can be replaced with a quarter-watt LED, producing the same amount of light, but at a fraction of the electricity usage.
Things I found on the hot water tank, typically the hot water tank flue pipe should have been vented above the furnace flue pipe. Well, this tank we would typically call to wrap it with a insulation jacket, but on this case I wouldn't because it's up against the back wall and it's also up against the side wall, so you wouldn't be able to get a jacket wrapped around it.
Right.
But I would call for the pipe wrap, 1/2-inch pipe wrap, 6 feet on the cold, 6 feet on the. You always should note where it's located.
Okay, so the current location's on the typical medium setting.
Well, we're going to switch all the way to hot.
Okay.
It's going to fire up, and as it heats up the flue pipe here, we're going to time it and check for spillage.
And how will we check with spillage using this mirror?
Well, if it starts to backdraft and spill, the mirror will fog up. And after a minute, it should clear up. Now, it's starting to fire up, but we're not getting any spillage, so that's indicating pretty good draft. And you notice I have my hands here. I'm also feeling for spillage because it'll be hot, moist air coming out on my hands. And I'm also checking it with the mirror. And as you can see, so far the mirror has no indication of spillage. 45 seconds into it, no spillage. And right there we hit the 1 minute mark and no spillage. You can physically feel it with your hands, there's no spillage, and the mirror is not steamed up.
Okay.
So it passed the spillage test. Second test I'm going to perform on the hot water tank is to drill a hole. And after we let it run and let it run for about 5 minutes so that it reaches steady state efficiency, I'll check for draft. So we're checking for draft right now. And if you notice, we have really good draft, -5.6 pascals. We're going to test for carbon monoxide. The first thing we do when we turn the monoxer on is that it goes through a 60-second purging. And we usually stick it to fresh outdoor air so that we don't interfere with if there's any carbon monoxide in the living space already.
So this is a calibration kind of process?
Yes, self-calibration, 60 seconds.
Tell me what we're doing right now.
Well, I'm drilling the holes so that I can get my carbon monoxide probe down into each cavity,
Okay.
into the baffles of this hot water tank to check the carbon monoxide levels. So we're checking now in each baffle at steady state, and we're getting a little carbon monoxide, which is normal, 10-11 parts per million. That's acceptable for carbon monoxide levels, and we're going to check it for draft, which is very acceptable to the supply. And we check the closest one to the furnace because this is where you get the highest parts per million, is when it first leaves if there is carbon monoxide. And this one here is indicating there is 0 parts per million.
So that's a good indication.
And that's a good one. And we begin. And we go around each joint. And it's sampling for gases. You have to make a complete circle around.
So the tone that we're hearing is the sampling, is that correct?
Yep. And if it does discover a gas leak, it's going to make a real loud squeal.
Tony, tell me what we're doing here.
Well, we're looking for black spots would indicate no insulation or deteriorating insulation in the ceiling of this addition. And there is some spots where we can see in the ceiling.
See what we're looking at there, Tony.
That's the cold air that comes in around your outlet. That's why those foam gaskets are so good.
Now in the living room of this home, and we're seeing
the ceiling area, and as we go down to the walls, we can see there's no insulation in the wall cavities.
Right. All right, Tony, let's talk about a little bit what you're doing right now to set up.
Well, I'm setting up to do the blower door test to see how leaky the home is. So now we'll depressurize the house and see how leaky it is. Person's basement, you close the door to about 1 inch, and you really feel the force blowing out, able to move. This is outside air being pulled through the house.
Let's do that one more time.
And most of her air leakage in the house is occurring through the